Hello everyone, I'm Sarita, Assistant Professor of Chemistry, Government Degree College for Women, Begumpet. Today let us discuss about IR spectroscopy, that is infrared spectroscopy. So this topic I have made into two parts. So today let us deal with part 1. So in this part 1, I'm going to cover introduction part, the principle behind IR, types of molecular vibrations, and the number of vibrational modes. So we'll start with the introduction of IR. So as we know that spectroscopy, we have seen in our last class, the introduction to the spectroscopy, Lambert, Beet's law, everything. So what is spectroscopy? It is nothing but the study of interaction of electromagnetic radiations with that of the matter. Now this IR spectroscopy, or it is known as vibrational spectroscopy, it is concerned with the study of absorption of IR radiations, which results in vibrational transitions. So in electromagnetic spectrum, we know that we have different waves or radiations. So this IR spectroscopy deals with only the interactions of IR radiations, that is infrared radiations, with that of the matter. So when this infrared radiations interact with the matter, what is happening is vibrational transitions takes place in the molecule. So IR radiations refers broadly to that part of electromagnetic spectrum between visible and microwave region. So if we look at the electromagnetic spectrum again, so this is gamma rays, then at the end we have microwaves. So most powerful or most energetic is gamma rays. So as we move from gamma rays to the microwaves, the energy decreases, whereas the wavelength of microwaves increases. So the IR region lies between the visible as well as the microwave region. Now this IR, the energy that is produced from IR radiation, it will help only in the transitions between the vibrational energy levels. It will not include electronic transitions. Remember that. So for electronic transitions, higher energy radiations are required, which are visible radiations. So in our last class, we have seen UV visible, where higher radiations are required, that is highly energetic radiations, which help in the transitions taking place in the electronic energy levels. Whereas here, IR radiations are less energetic when compared to UV visible. So the transitions takes place only in the vibrational energy levels. So this is again the electromagnetic spectrum and the molecular effects that we see when the matter is exposed to this different types of rays. So when the matter is exposed with high energetic rays, that is gamma rays or X-rays, ionization of the molecules takes place. Suppose if it is in the UV visible, as I said, electronic transitions are seen. And still if we go on, if we move down, that is IR radiations, very less energetic when compared to UV visible, then we come across only the molecular vibrations. Then if we still go down, that is least energetic, that is microwave, only rotational motions is observed in the molecules. Then for the radio waves, it is the nuclear spin transitions takes place. So radio waves are very less energetic, or it is having higher wavelength. So these are the various molecular effects that takes place in the molecule or the matter when it is irradiated with different rays of electromagnetic spectrum. Then the principle behind IR is, it is related to the vibrational and rotational energy level of a molecule. So as we said, so because it is less energetic, so the transitions taking place only in the vibrational. And we know that in the vibrational energy levels, we also have rotational energy levels. So it is concerned with these two levels, vibrational and the rotational energy levels. So when the frequency of IR radiation is equal to the natural frequency of vibration, the molecule absorbs IR radiation. So this is a condition where See, all the molecules which are having bonds, the bonds present between the atoms, they are very flexible. So they undergo constant vibrations. So that vibration, that is the natural frequency of vibration of that particular molecule, should match with that of the frequency of IR radiation. So then only the IR spectrum is obtained. So absorption of IR radiation causes an excitation of molecule from a lower to a higher energy level. That is only in the vibrational level, that too. So each vibrational level is associated with number of closely placed rotational levels. So that is why we call IR spectroscopy as vibrational rotational spectroscopy. So remember why it is known as vibrational rotational, because when IR rays are striking or when they are incident onto the molecule, the transition taking place between the vibrational and rotational energy levels only. So that is the reason why it is known as vibrational and rotational spectroscopy. When the frequency of the IR radiation is equal to the natural frequency of vibration, so as we said, if the frequency of both the IR radiation and the natural frequency of vibration of a molecule matches, then only it will absorb that IR radiation and we will find a peak. And every bond or a portion of a molecule, or it may be a functional group, it requires different frequencies. Suppose if we are having an aldehyde, suppose it is R C double bond OH. So CH, C single bond H will absorb IR frequency at one range. C double bond O will absorb it at the wavelength, and another wavelength or the vibrational frequency of that C double bond O will be different. Then it will be different with C single bond C. So like that, all the functional groups will have different vibrational frequencies because of various absorptions of IR radiations. So all the bonds in a molecule, they are not capable of absorbing IR energy. But which bonds are capable? Those bonds which are accompanied by change in dipole moment. So this is another condition in IR where IR spectra is observed only in the molecules which have dipole. That is, they should contain dipole moment where mu is not equal to 0. So then they will give rise to IR active transitions. Suppose if there is no dipole, then that molecule will not absorb IR radiations and therefore we call them as IR inactive. So when the molecule is polar, suppose if we take an example of HCl, HCl is polar, it is having some dipole moment, okay, because hydrogen and chlorine, they have that is unequal electronegativity values. So that is why it will show, H will show positive charge, Cl will show my negative charge. So it is having two poles, positive and negative poles. So when there is a dipole, then only those molecules will show IR spectra and they are known as IR active. Suppose if we are having polar, that is non-polar. Suppose if we are taking nitrogen, chlorine, nitrogen, that means N triple bond N, or chlorine, Cl single bond Cl. So there is similar atoms which are attached to the bond. So that means there is no polarity in that. So they are IR inactive. So nature of IR spectra. So how is that the spectra of IR looks like? So when, as we know that when the molecule is absorbing IR radiation, so after absorbing, some of the light is being transmitted out. Okay, so we can measure the intensities of absorbance as well as transmittance. And always absorbance is inversely proportional to the transmittance. So in the previous classes we have seen, and here you can see transmission versus absorption. So when a molecule is exposed, now this is a sample, chemical sample which is exposed to IR source. So some of the light of IR is being absorbed and some of the light is being transmitted. So this transmitted light, when it hits the detector, it will give rise to a peak. Now, those peaks, it looks like this. So here you can see, so we will get IR spectra, actually frequency on the, or we will take generally wave numbers on the x-axis, and on the y-axis if we are taking absorption, it looks like this. But generally IR spectra are recorded in this way. That is where on x-axis wave numbers, and on the y-axis we will take transmittance. So IR spectra is usually plotted using transmittance, this one. Hence, absorption band appears as dips. So absorption bands will appear like this, inverted. Whereas in UV, we will observe like this. Okay, because we are measuring in absorption. Whereas here we are taking transmission on the y-axis. So that is the reason why we will get the graph in this way. Spectra of IR will be dips we find. So each dip, this we call it as a band or a peak. So here we find one peak or one band. And these bands, we have strong bands, medium bands, and weak bands. See here, suppose if the peak or the dip is down, that is, it is covering almost the y-axis. From here almost till down, then we call it as a strong peak or strong absorption band. And it is medium if it covers half the distance of the y-axis. And if it covers only little distance of the y-axis, it is known as weak band or a weak absorption band. Now this is an example of IR spectrum for ethanol. So you can see there are different bands here. So this is broad band. Okay, a broad band. This broad band is seen because of OH group present in ethanol because of hydrogen bondings. And this is an intense band or strong band. Then this is medium band. This is again an intense band, medium. So like this, we have different types of absorption bands in IR. Now, as I said, IR spectroscopy is also known as vibrational rotational spectroscopy. So why it is known as that is, again, when we are talking about the different molecular energy levels in this diagram. So you can see electronic energy levels. The distance between the electronic energy levels is more. Then comes vibrational energy levels. And these vibrational energy levels in turn consist of rotational energy levels. So delta, that is energy difference between the rotational energy levels, is very minimum. So that is the reason the transitions between the rotational and the vibrational energy levels is taking place when the sample is irradiated with IR. And what is the frequency of IR? So here, the regions of different wavelengths for IR. So IR does not have enough energy to induce electronic transitions. So that is why there is only the change in vibrational energy levels, and that too the molecule will absorb IR when there is a change in dipole moment. And the IR ranges are, the IR range is divided into three ranges, that is very near IR, where overtone region we call it as 2 to 2.5, the near IR vibrational region, far IR is rotational region. So generally this vibrational region, where this is very important for us for identifying the functional group region. Then what are the molecular vibrations? So as I said, molecules are made up of atoms. So they are linked by bonds. And these bonds, we are considering them to be in the form of a spring. Okay. So the spring, you know, it has, you can either pull apart, that is, you can stretch them, or we can compress it. So here too, both stretching and compression is shown in the figure. So this is stretching. When you pull or when you push, we call it as compressed. So similar to this spring, even the bonds which are present in the molecule will also undergo vibrations. So vibration is nothing but stretching, bending, or internal rotation around a single bond. Whatever, all these are nothing but we call it as a vibration which is taking place in a molecule. So here we have different types of vibrations. Actually, there are two main types of vibrations. Those are stretching and bending. Now again, in stretching we have symmetric stretching and asymmetric stretching. Symmetric, asymmetric. Then in bending vibrations, so bending, again we have in plane bending and out of plane bending. So in plane means the atoms are bending within the plane, the same plane. In this in plane bending, we have scissoring and rocking modes. Then out of plane bending, wagging and twisting. So we'll see what are these types and what is the change that we come across when such types of vibrations are taking place. Now in this, you can see it clearly, symmetric stretching vibration. So this is, suppose if this is a carbon and these are two other atoms. Now what is happening? We are moving these two atoms which are attached to the central atom away from the center. Okay, so you can pull it away or you can just push it towards the central atom. So this is known as symmetric stretching. So symmetric stretching, so what happens when you pull it, the bond length, this is the bond length will change. If you pull it, the bond length will become larger, and if you push it towards the center, the bond length will decrease. So bond length increases and decreases in symmetric stretching. Whereas in asymmetric stretching, one bond length will decrease and the another bond length will increase. Why? Because here this red atom is being compressed towards the center. So what is happening when you push, when you compress this towards the center, the bond length will decrease. And here you are pulling this blue atom away from the central atom. So bond length will increase. So in stretching vibrations, there will be a change in bond length. Then in bending vibrations, so bending vibrations, what happens? The bond angle will change. So these are the two atoms again. Now we are bending, we are just, that is we are making those two atoms come closer or away. So that is bending, where the bond angle, this is the bond angle, this between the two atoms, this is the bond angle which will change. Now this is symmetrical bending, scissoring type. And this is symmetrical bending, rocking. Then symmetrical bending, which is out of plane, twisting, and this is asymmetric bending, out of plane. Now we'll see these vibrations in three-dimensional figure, then you will understand clearly. So molecular vibrations in spectroscopy. So we have two types, broadly divided into two types. Those are stretching vibrations and bending vibrations. So stretching vibrations first we'll take up. So what happens in this, bond length is altered. So there is a change in the bond length. Now these stretching vibrations, we have symmetrical. So first two bonds increase or decrease in length. So you can see the arrow marks on these two atoms. That means the two bonds are moving away from the central atom. So this is an example of ethylene. So symmetrical stretching was found to be 2850 centimeter inverse. This is a vibrational frequency where the band will appear. So here you can see clearly. So how the balls are moving blue colored. So they are moving away from the central or they are coming towards the central atom. So what is happening? The bond length increases or it may decrease. Then in stretching only, the other one is asymmetric stretching. So in this, one bond length is increased and the other is decreased. So within the arrow marks also it is denoted, one is moving away, the other one is moving towards the center. And the band is observed at 2925 centimeter inverse. So you can see bond increase, decrease. So simultaneous one will increase, the other bond will be decreasing. Then bending vibrations. These are also called as deformations, and in this bond angle is altered. So in this again in plane mode we have scissoring, rocking. Out plane bending is wagging and twisting. So first we'll see the in plane bending. So in plane means all the three atoms or the atoms, the movement, whatever it is taking place, it is taking place on the plane. So this is an in-plane bending. Scissoring is the first type we are discussing here. So here you can see two atoms are approaching towards each other. Okay, they may approach or they can move apart. So it is observed at 1465 centimeter inverse. So in this way. So you can see when they are coming closer, bond length will decrease. When they are moving apart, bond length will increase. Next is rocking. Now in rocking, in this movement of atoms takes place in same direction. So you can see two atoms moving either towards left side or towards the right side. And the vibrational frequency is observed at 720 centimeter inverse. So you can see both moving towards the same direction and it is on the plane. So it is rocking which is taking place in plane bending. Then wagging. Wagging is out of plane bending. So in this, two atoms move to one side of the plane. They move up and down. That means plus means both the atoms are moving towards the observer. So it is observed at 1350 to 1150 centimeter inverse. See, you can see both the atoms moving towards means plus. If they are moving away, we represent it as minus. So this is out of plane. It is moving, coming out of the plane, going back of the plane like that. Then twisting. So one atom moves above the plane and the other atoms move below the plane. So plus means it is moving above, minus means it is moving below the plane. So it is observed at 1350 to 1150 centimeter inverse. So this is how it is taking place above and below. Above means we represent it with plus sign. Below means it is minus. So these are the different types of vibrations that is taking place. And we can calculate the number of vibrational modes. How many number of vibrational modes we can calculate this? The formula for linear molecule, it is 3n minus 5. N is number of atoms here. And for non-linear molecules, it is 3n minus 6. So we'll see that in our next, that is in the next slide, how it is calculated. So I think you have understood the vibrations with this animation. Now we'll see. So now can a vibration change the dipole moment of a molecule? So whether it changes the dipole moment or not. Okay, it changes. When it changes, so asymmetric stretching or bending. So when the vibration is of asymmetric type or when it is bending or internal rotation, they will change the dipole moment of a molecule. Okay, then the same thing, asymmetric stretching or bending. So when it is changing, dipole moment is changed, then we say that it is IR active. When the dipole moment is not changed, it is said to be IR inactive. So symmetrical stretching or symmetrical bending will not change the dipole moment. So that is why we call it as IR inactive. Then fundamental vibrations. So total, each atom will have 3 degrees of freedom. So it may be on the X, Y, and Z axis. And the molecule, suppose if it is having n atoms, it will have Tn degrees of freedom. For non-linear molecules such as water, so what is the shape of water? It is angular shape. So for such non-linear molecules, we can calculate the vibrational degrees of freedom as 3n minus 6. Whereas for linear molecules, it is carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is a linear one, oxygen, double bond carbon, double bond O. So it is a linear molecule. For such linear molecules, the formula for calculation of degrees of freedom is 3n minus 5. So now we'll see how many degrees of freedom we will have for different molecules. So number of vibration modes. So this is a linear molecule. So non-linear molecule. Okay. So here, suppose if this is the water, yellow one will be oxygen, this white color will be hydrogens. This is linear. Suppose HCl like that. So we have the transitions of taking place between X, Y, and Z axis. So linear, translational, or rotational. So that's why per non-linear it is 3n minus 6, and per linear we calculate it as 3n minus 5. So now for water, we'll take an example. With water, it is a non-linear molecule. So n, that is number of atoms in water, are 3. So what will be the number of vibrational modes? 3 into 3n minus 6 it is. So n is 3, so 3 into 3 minus 6, so we'll get 3. So what are the 3 vibrational modes that we see for water are? One is antisymmetrical stretching, one is symmetrical, and the other one is bending, which is scissoring type. So these are the 3 modes where we can see 3 bands, very clear and intense bands for water molecule. So these are the vibrational absorption bands at 3685. This is 3506. Symmetric stretching is seen and bending is seen at 1885. So always asymmetric stretching will have higher absorption bands when compared to symmetric stretching. Then for carbon dioxide is a linear. This is carbon, 2 oxygens. So symmetric stretching mode of carbon dioxide is IR inactive. So even though it is linear and number of modes when we calculate, it is coming to 4. Okay, even though it is 4, but only 3 bands are observed for carbon dioxide. So those are symmetric stretching is inactive. Why? Because it is linear. So both are same molecules, oxygens on the both sides. So there is no change in dipole moment. So it is IR inactive, whereas asymmetric stretching, IR active. So absorption band is seen at 2349. Whereas bending, this is also IR active, 667, and bending deformation 667. So generally 2 bands we have to observe for this carbon dioxide. And this is next example we have taken for formaldehyde. This is formaldehyde. So total how many atoms are there? 4. So 3n minus 6, that means 3 into 4 minus 6. 3 into 4, 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. So these are the 6 modes of vibrations that you can see here. Symmetric CH, C double bond O, CH2 bending, out of plane bending, antisymmetric CH stretching, CH2 rocking. So in this way, we can calculate different number of vibrational modes for linear and non-linear molecules. Okay, this is for carbon dioxide. So this is IR spectra. So you can see intense band of carbon dioxide around 2300. There is another bending. This is 667. So these are intense bands which appear for carbon dioxide. So now here there are some bands which we do not see in the spectrum. So what is the reason why we are not able to see some bands, and sometimes we observe more number of bands? So first, why it is that there are less number of bands that appear? The first reason may be the fundamental frequencies that fall outside the 4000 to 400 centimeter inverse. So this 4000 to 400 centimeter inverse range is for the main organic functional group region. So when some bands absorb radiations out of this range, then those bands will not appear in the IR spectra. And some of the fundamental bands may be too weak. They may be too weak, so they are also not observed. And some bands, what happens is they are so close that they combine the coalescence. Okay, so that is why some bands are also missing. And sometimes degenerate bands appear with same frequency. So they also, we cannot see those bands. And some of the vibrational bands appear in the IR because of lack of change in molecular dipole. So because of there is no change in dipole moment, we cannot observe some of those bands. So these are some reasons why some bands will be missing in IR. Now you tell me which of these molecules will absorb IR radiations, or we can say that they are IR active. ICl, H2, nitrogen, chlorine. So you will say that it is ICl, or HCl actually it should be. So why is that it is IR active? Because it is polar. A non-polar bond in a symmetrical molecule will absorb weakly or not at all. So all the polar bonds are IR active. So that is, again, we can explain this, that is, if two different molecules are given and which of the molecule will absorb at higher frequency radiations, that we can actually calculate by Hooke's law. So Hooke's law, where it is for diatomic molecule. So this is vibrational frequencies is given by the formula nu bar is equal to 1 by 2 pi c under root k by mu actually. So K or F is given here, which is known as force constant, and mu will be the reduced mass. So reduced mass is nothing but again m1 m2 by m1 plus m2 it is. So that m1 plus m2 will come into the numerator. So complete formula will be like this. So nu bar is the vibrational frequency expressed in centimeter inverse. C is the velocity of the light. F is force constant of the bond. Now, M1 and M2 are the masses of the atoms A and B. So as you can see that here, nu bar is directly proportional to F. Okay, so that means as the force constant increases, the vibrational frequency increases. So if we take three different types of bonds, CC single bond, double bond, and triple bond, we have the force constant. So to break a triple bond, it requires high energy. Okay, so single bond we can break it at lower energy itself. So triple bond is it requires high energy to break that bond. So that is the reason triple bonds will have higher that is vibrational absorption bands. Then comes double bond, and then it will be the single bond. So, and if we compare with that of the mass, so nu bar is directly proportional to F that we have seen. Now nu bar is inversely proportional to the masses. Okay, so that means more the mass, less will be the vibrational frequencies. So now you can see here vibrational frequency, how it changes because of its bond strength, that is the K value or the force constant. So C triple bond C will have higher 2150, C's double bond C is less 1650, C single bond C is 1200. So more the number of bonds, more will be the energy required to break the bond. So that is the reason F, that is nu bar, will be directly proportional to K. So hence C double bond C will appear at higher absorptional frequencies. Then mass. Vibrational frequency is inversely proportional to the masses. So if we compare with CH, CC, CO, Cl, CBr, Ci. So iodine is having higher mass. So as higher mass means the vibrations will absorb at lower frequency. So that is why you can see the band at 500. Whereas for CH it is near to the 3000 mark. Then hybridization. Hybridization also affects the bond strength or the force constant. So sp hybrid carbon will have higher vibrational frequency when compared to sp2, then comes sp3. So sp it is more than 3000, that is 3300. sp2 almost near to 3000, that is 3100. sp3 just less than 3000, 2900. So you can see here C triple bond C, this is C double bond C, C single bond C. So here the bond length is 1.2, 1.3, and it is 1.5 angstroms. So in this case, as the S character is increasing, okay, the bond, that is the vibrational frequency, also increases. So we have completed the introduction part, the principle, the types of vibrations, and the modes of vibrations, how to calculate them. So just we'll recall everything with this 3D animation. So there are two conditions you have to remember for IR. So what is it? The first one is there must be a change in the dipole moment. Okay, if there is a change in the dipole moment, then only we say that it is IR active. For symmetrical molecules, they do not absorb IR radiations because there is no change in the dipole moment. That you have to remember. So first condition is it should have some change in the dipole moment. The second is the frequency of the radiation. It should match the natural frequency of the vibration. So here you can see, so when it matches, then only it will absorb IR radiation and the amplitude will increase. So you can see here also the amplitude of the vibration increases, or you will get an intense bands. Then the process of IR spectroscopy. So how it takes place, because when it absorbs energy from the IR, molecular vibrations takes place, which are of different types we have seen, that is stretching or bending. Stretching where the bond length changes, when it is bending, the bond angle will change. So that is for the molecules which are showing different vibrations. Now here the same again, it is being shown. The spring, it is stretching the diatomic species. So when a covalent bond oscillates due to the dipole of the molecule, a varying electromagnetic field is produced. So this is how the vibrations occur. So greater the dipole moment change through the vibration, more intense will be the electromagnetic field that is generated. Now this electromagnetic field which is generated from the bond vibration, it will, when the matter is irradiated with IR beam, when it matches with that of the frequency of IR, so you can see the amplitude of the wave is increasing. So that means it is IR active. So applied infrared frequency should always be equal to the natural frequency of a vibration. Then only an absorption of IR radiation takes place and a peak is observed. So different functional groups, as I said, they will show different IR characteristic frequencies of IR, and hence gives the characteristic peak value. So that is why we say that IR is nothing but is a fingerprint of a molecule for its identification. So that is why it is very important to study IR spectroscopy, because by studying IR spectroscopy, we can gather the information of the structure of the molecule. So hope you have understood all these topics about the vibrational, various types of molecular vibrations and how to calculate the number of vibrational modes. Then the other part, we'll see the rest of the syllabus we'll cover in our next part. Thank you for watching.